Welcome on into a live edition of Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here breaking down all of the latest on the Dirty Birds going into Week 15 with the Falcons traveling to Las Vegas, taking on the Raiders in what is a must-win game for Atlanta. If they want any chance of sniffing the postseason, you have got to beat the Raiders, who are on a 10, 11-game losing streak. So who you got for Monday Night Football? Falcons or Raiders? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to take Atlanta, right? But man, I am nervous. One, this just screams trap game, right? This just screams we're all going to pick the Falcons because the Raiders are bad, not because we actually think the Falcons are any good. And when that happens on the road, that's where trap games come alive. So I am officially nervous. I'm going to take Atlanta, but I am nervous, and I want that on the record. If the Falcons blow them out, hand up, I was wrong. But I am in the nervous category, for sure. Cody taking Atlanta. Ty-Man's taking Atlanta. Jordan taking Atlanta. Cam, Falcons by a spanking. I don't think there will be a spanking. No. I don't think it's going to be like when I was 5 years old and I was in a parking lot and I threw a rock through a car's window and my dad spanked me. That happened. I don't think it's going to be like that. Nope. Grand Limousine, ATL, baby. We've got Xavier, Atlanta, because Falcons. Oh, no. Well, Xavier's kind of going with both. I don't know. ATLV, I guess you could combine those. I didn't think about it that way. So a tie for Xavier. I couldn't handle a tie. I'd rather lose than tie. If they tie, I'll be pissed. Because then I don't know what's next. Like, it throws the playoff picture out of whack. No one's tied yet this year in the NFL. No one tied. I feel like ties should be forbidden from weeks like 12 onwards because it just makes it too confusing for playoff pictures. Kennard Drake taking the Falcons. Eli, if Morris was smart, he would kick Cousins in. Okay, well, that's a little harsh. You could just bench him. You don't have to physically harm him. So we got 59 people watching right now. I want all 59 of you letting me know in the comment section who you got, Atlanta or Las Vegas. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button too if you have not already. I do want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Game Time. If you want to go see a Falcons game, a Hawks game, if you're going to Vegas to watch the Hawks, or any other sporting event in your area, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. I also want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is super simple to use, and I think you guys will really enjoy it because all you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections, and you can win not just 100 times your cash, 200 times your cash thanks to Pickmas. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. I just want to discuss a question that's not really Falcons or Atlanta specific, but it's the biggest story I'd say today in sports, and that's Bill Belichick going to UNC, which initially I thought was kind of a weird, poor choice. Why not wait until the NFL head coaching cycle comes around? The more I think about it, the more I kind of like it for Belichick. For starters, he's not waiting to see if the NFL picks him again. He's being proactive. You guys all passed on me last year. Your loss. I'm going to go to college football, and I'm going to try and make history. Has any coach, I feel like some coaches won both in college and in the NFL. But even if he does not win in college, like that's not really what the bar should be for him. But I think Belichick is just going on to a new chapter of his life, and he's not going to be at the NFL's waiting call until a team realizes, hey, you're still a good coach. Didn't you win like a few Super Bowls? We'll give you a call. He is kind of giving the middle finger to the NFL going, your loss, I'm off to college right now. And right now I feel like the NFL could use some more Bill Belichicks because I won't say that the state of the product is bad, but does anyone else feel like this year has not been some of the best NFL work in terms of craziness and excitement and whatnot compared to previous years? Maybe I'm overthinking it, or maybe you're like, no, I've kind of had the same thought that quarterbacks haven't been very good this year, and the product itself is just going down as a result of that. So I think it's going to work out for Bill. I do. I think Belichick is, going to get butts in seats. He's going to make them a 9-win team, and he's going to have them somewhat in the playoff discussion. And for UNC, that's really all you could ask for right there. We got a $20 super chat from Grand Limousine. Clap your hands for Grand Limousine, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Grand Limousine. Appreciate you always tuning in and always supporting the channel. I'll get back to you shortly as well. Just working through a couple of things on my end. But he got it to me. Grand Limousine, thank you. Let's see. What is the chat saying right now? I got B-Rob saying, let's tank for Michael Williams in the early teens. The good news is you don't have to try and tank. The Falcons doing it on their own. They've lost 4 in a row. So there are a lot of good Georgia defenders. I definitely feel like the Falcons should prioritize defense in the draft. And if it happens to be a Bulldog, awesome. There's not a great lineage or pipeline, I should say, between Athens and Atlanta, at least from the draft. I feel like there's a lot of Bulldogs that come back in free agency, but not so much in the draft as of late. So I wouldn't hate it. Kennard Drake with a $5 super. Thank you, Mr. Drake. I got my Falcons team hoodie. I still believe in our team. Kennard, thank you for your support and for your optimism, because I need to have a glass of whatever you're drinking, because I'm running out of pixie dust. I really am, and that sucks because I'm usually, as like a sports fan, one of the last people to give up. I'm not like the guy that's like, oh, we're 0-1, throwing the towel, season's over, right? It's like, dude, there's 162 games in a baseball season. Like, don't we have that reaction? But I feel like this is just fingers crossed mode. And in the NFL, that doesn't work out. They're just too good. Like, there's 53 pros on the other side, and if your strategy is we're just going to hope that we start to turn it around without any kind of plan, and I haven't really seen anything put into works to make me believe the Falcons are trying to turn things around, other than we're going to keep trotting out the same ideas and just hope it works this time. Kennard, thank you so much for your support, though. Coming up on today's episode, we're going to run through the latest news and rumors. There's some drama, some tea, as the kids call it, between Bill Belichick and Terry Fontenot. I'm going to share that with you all. We're also going to look at the NFL playoff picture, talk about the odds and the chances and the probability of the Falcons doing this and doing that. So we're going to cover that on today's show. We also have a mailbag at the end of the show. So get your questions in early and often. Hashtag Falcons or Super Chat like Grand Limousine and Kennard Drake have done, and we'll throw it on screen for everyone watching to see. So get your questions in. Hashtag Falcons. Start peppering the chat with those now, early and often. All right. Are we ready to get this show on the road? I got 86 likes. 86 people watching right now, 19 likes. Hit that thumbs up button. Let's boost those numbers. Let's get ourselves to 20 likes. I just need one person watching to like the video, and then we'll talk about the drama out there surrounding Belichick and Terry Fontenot, as Bill has opened up since leaving the Patriots and getting passed over by 7 NFL teams last year. And he did not have, I wouldn't say a mean thing to say, but not the kindest either, I guess, about Terry Fontenot. It's kind of like the golden rule. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. He kind of broke that rule a little bit. So we'll share that and take a look at it together. We're at 30 likes. Thank you guys so much for hitting that thumbs up button. All right, let's get into the latest on the Dirty Birds. Bill Belichick dissing Terry Fontenot? So if you didn't see, Belichick, of course, being announced as the UNC Football head coach, also had an article come out on ESPN kind of detailing his journey since he left the Patriots and got passed over by the Falcons and 6 other NFL teams. He only got one interview, Atlanta, or the one team interviewed him, and he decided not to wait around for another round of hires from the NFL. He decided to jump into the college ranks and join the UNC Tar Heels. But in this ESPN article, there were some quotes that came across the wire that really jumped out to me, including this one. Listening to Fontenot discuss drafting systems last January as if he knew it all bothered him, a Belichick confidant says. Dun dun dun. Spot the lie. He's not wrong. He being Bill. What background does Terry Fontenot have as the Falcons GM to say he has the, magic key to drafting? Fontenot has not been a very good drafter as the Falcons GM. Here are some of his best picks. Drake London, very good pick. You also had a top 10 draft pick, so you're kind of expected to do well there. Same for Bijan. I like the trade up for Matthew Peterson. He's a high-end starting guard. Drew Dahlman, round 4. That's a great find. Same goes for Tyler Algier. These are really good picks based on where you found them. But your calling card as a GM should not be, man, I nailed these guys right here. That sounded weird. I nailed these picks right here. The ball was teed up for you. You're picking top 10. You're supposed to. But the list of bad picks by Fontenot is much longer. Kyle Pitts, 4th overall. Objectively, just not a good draft pick given where he was taken. Not a bad player, but you expect a lot more from being the 4th player taken in the draft. Richie Grant, failure. Arnold Ebiketie, I don't know just yet. That's why I put a question mark next to him. We'll see how the rest of the year plays out. But for round 2, I think we could all agree if they could go back in time and do it all over again, they would not take him. Desmond Ridder, did not work out. D'Angelo Malone, failure. Jalen Mayfield, failure. Zach Harrison, he's playing fewer snaps in year 2 than he was in year 1. Darren Hall, round 4 is where I kind of draw the line of, all right, I'm not going to be nitpicky on who you pick in rounds 5, 6, and 7. The whole draft is a crapshoot, but that really becomes a big crapshoot. So overall, Fontenot has many more misses than makes. And listen, drafting is not easy. There are plenty of misses for all 32 GMs. But his misses are way larger than his makes, and most of his makes were layups. You were given the top 10 pick because of how bad the team played last year that you constructed the roster for. It's a bad cycle to be like, I keep nailing those top 10 picks. Yeah, but why are we picking top 10? Has the Falcons improved? I'm not trying to make this entire video one big hit piece on Terry Fontenot. But if Bill Belichick says, yeah, that GM in Atlanta kind of got under my skin talking about he knows everything there is about drafting when he's not been a very good drafter, that's a very fair piece of criticism to say. So I think moving forward for the next couple of years, we'll always have this big what if about Belichick passing or the Falcons passing on Belichick. Raheem Morris is not looking too great right now. And a big reason why Atlanta did not pursue Belichick was they were afraid Belichick would shake things up too much in the front office. As if that's a bad thing? What has this front office given this fan base since 2017? Nothing but losing football. So they didn't want the guy that was going to shake things up to protect their derrieres? Not putting what's best for the fans in mind? That's their job. This is the entertainment industry. Fans are not entertained because you keep losing. And you were afraid of bringing in a coach that might push you guys out? The guys that have been losing? I stand by Belichick for this one. As if Fontenot's got a good track record of drafting. So how would you grade Terry as a GM? He's done some good things, right? Like he has, right? They're not all complete failures. Jesse Bates, incredible signing. But for me, the misses are starting to stack up too large, and we are staring at another 7-win season under Terry Fontenot. At what point are we just going to call it what it is? This team has been underwhelming with him as the general manager. I give him a C-. I don't think it's a complete failure of a job. Being 7-10 is, all right, there's some levels of competency. And sure, not all of it completely falls on him. Arthur Blank may have wanted Kirk Cousins. Maybe Arthur Smith picked a quarterback or two, right? But at the end of the day, you had the keys to the kingdom for so many drafts, especially that 2021 draft. Think about their first 3 picks. Kyle Pitts, Richie Grant, Jalen Mayfield. 3 straight picks and complete failures for where they were taken and how long they even lasted on this roster. Only Pitts is left. I mean, it's a complete dumpster fire of a draft class that I think really set Atlanta back in 2021. It's time to start looking in front of you. Your eyes are not deceiving you. He's got a couple of good picks, and kudos to him. Like, drafting isn't easy. There's no guarantee. But, I mean, if your calling card is, hey, I picked Drake London, that was a great pick, right? Yeah, I guess so. But for every good pick, there were 3 bad ones, it seemed like. So, I like I said, I'm going to side with Belichick on this one here. And if things don't improve dramatically the rest of this year or next year, I think we're going to look back at this as, hey, this is one big mistake Atlanta made, passing on Belichick because they wanted to protect the GM, who really hasn't been doing a very good job of being a GM based on his draft history. I'm just going off of the picks here. Am I wrong? All right, next up on the show, I want to talk about Raheem Morris. He discussed Kirk Cousins staying the starter for this team moving forward. I've got some thoughts on that to share. But first, a quick shout out to our friends over at Game Time. Let's say you want to go to a Falcons game, a Hawks game, or any other sporting event in your area. What you got to do first is you got to download Game Time, then redeem code CHATSPORTS, and you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Then you're going to enjoy savings because you're not going to spend an extra $20 that could be devoted to parking or concession run. Plus, visit the Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you the best value based on where the seat is and what the cost is. So once again, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Let's talk about Kirk Cousins staying put as this team's starting quarterback. Raheem Morris has not left it open to interpretation. He has been adamant that Cousins is going to remain this team's starting quarterback. In his latest presser, he had this to say: I feel like he is going to come out of this thing and he's going to go on a run here and get us to do the things that we need to do. Walking away from that, kind of had the realization of, I see why players love Raheem Morris, why he is a very popular coach. He is, if one thing, confident. He will go up in front of a room and he will take control of that room, and he is not going to try and play neutral and play both sides and, leave things open to interpretation. He is going to stand there and stick by his guys. And if I were a player, I'd love that, right? If I were Kirk Cousins right now, there's nothing I could hear that would be more motivating than my coach just essentially laughing off the idea of benching the starting quarterback. As a player, that has to be quite reassuring. But here's my issue. That's reassuring for Cousins. What about the 52 other guys in the locker room? Is it really in their best interest to continue watching their season go down the drain because 4 straight games Kirk Cousins can't throw a touchdown pass and has thrown 8 interceptions? I feel like it might be in the moment, I wouldn't say fun to have Raheem Morris as your coach, but enjoyable because he's always going to have your back. He's going to be there for the players. He's going to stand by. He's not going to divvy out blame. He's going to take responsibility. But when the season's over and you look back and you're like, another losing year, yeah, it's nice that my coach has my back and he stands up for me, but I also want a coach that helps us win. And we're not getting that right now. And so maybe they need a coach who can make the tough decisions, that can do the unpopular thing for some, but what's best for the team moving forward. It kind of reminds me, if anyone out here is kind of like an aviation nut myself, whenever you see like clips in the cockpit or something like that from a show, you sometimes hear the pilot go like, I'm taking control. And the co-pilot says like, you're taking control. That way they have it on the voice recorder for the black box or the audio box. Right now, Raheem Morris is taking control. Like, he is taking on the brunt of the responsibility. He is not leaving it up for doubt about if this goes south, whose blame it is. He is putting all of it on himself to try and take away some of the pressure from his players. And that's admirable, and it's respectable, and I really do enjoy that part of his coaching background and his philosophy. But when you take on that much responsibility and the plane goes down, well, there's really no question about who's to blame, right? There's plenty of moments and things we can look at and go, well, there's no question about whose fault this is. You can blame Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins wasn't going to bench himself, and that's the coach who kept standing by him despite loss after loss after loss. Kind of reminds me, if anyone's seen the show Ted Lasso. Like, I'm watching it right now. Ted Lasso, spoiler, didn't want to bench a player in season 1. The other coach was like, listen, you're being a little bit too faithful here. Like, you got to do what's best for the team, not just for the player. And now we're kind of seeing that backfire because the lack of a move has brought on a 4-game losing streak. So let me know. Should Kirk start on Monday night? He's going to start. We all are going to root for him to play the best version of himself as possible. But we're going to ignore a 4-game sample size? I don't think so. Imagine if a running back had 8 fumbles in 4 games. You think they would start the 5th game? No, of course not. But I feel like Kirk is starting because of the price tag and a little bit of he's our quarterback, and we made this plan from before the season started of Kirk's our quarterback and Penix is for the future, and the future is not 2024. And they do not want to deviate from that plan. Before we sign off, I just want to show some love to the Dirty Birds Club. Thank you guys so much for sticking by us. I mean, the last couple of weeks have not been entertaining football, but it's always great to see familiar names and faces in the chat week to week. So come hang out with us for Monday night, Falcons versus Raiders. We will have a watch party here. So if you're looking for a spot to take in the game, click on our watch party come Monday night. Sometimes before the video, I kind of like organize my thoughts about what I want to say. Not sometimes, all the time. And then sometimes mid-video pops in my head. Like, if anyone's seen Ted Lasso, this is literally Ted Lasso and Roy Kent season 1, where it's just like, Ted, we got to do what's best for the team, not just what's best for the veteran player. And I feel like Morris is going to go down on the ship because he wanted to do what's best for Cousins and did not do what's best for the 52 other players on this roster.
I don't know if this is how you feel. This might be a little bit of a stretch of an analogy, but like your dog that's like 15 and you're like, I think we should probably put it down, but it looks like it's having fun.
I don't know.
But
Here's
it's like shitting all over the floor.
Yeah, Kirk's not actually at that stage of his life. We have seen quarterbacks get there. Like Matt Ryan was kind of there. I was going to say, I was going to go kicker. Remember Adam Vinatieri at the very end where all he could do was miss? Kind of like Justin Tucker right now. Kirk actually, he made some good throws in the Vikings game. He did. He threw 2 interceptions, but like he made enough throws where I'm like, I don't know if he's at the stage of like he's a dog that can't go outside anymore, and it's just really sad to watch. I feel like we got there with a little bit of Ben Roethlisberger at the end in Pittsburgh. Kirk, I think Kirk's gonna be there next year probably, but he's not quite there yet. He's just not playing good football at all.
Are we there with Aaron Rodgers?
I think we're there with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, because he trots out there, and you're like, oh my god, if he gets hit, I'm worried that something's gonna happen.
I think if Tyrod Taylor started the whole season for the Jets, they would have more wins than they do right now. Yeah, more than Zach Wilson. It's true. So, what do you guys think? Should Kirk start in Week 15? Yes or no? Matthew Petey fan, my favorite commenter, just put hashtag Falcons somewhere in your message. That way, producer Reed can pull the question for our mailbag. All right, next up on the show, I want to run through the playoff picture. I want to run through some of the scenarios. Thankfully, it is my job. I can spend a lot of time playing on like the playoff calculator apps and whatnot and running simulations. If you are not able to do that at your job, maybe like your coworker or your boss can see your monitor and you're like, can't really spend all day on the ESPN playoff machine, then you're going to really enjoy this segment. Eli, thank you for getting a question in. Lafayette, we should have grabbed Max Crosby. Well, it takes 2 to trade, and I just don't think the Raiders were ever that close to actually trading him. Matthew Petey fan, thank you for putting hashtag Falcons in there. Deuce, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm really put some money on Desmond Ridder. I really want Ridder to start. It would just be so much more entertaining. Like I'm not even worrying about jinxing it. I really want Ritter against the Falcons. There's no bad blood. I don't hate Desmond Ritter. No one should hate Desmond Ritter. He's a nice guy. He really is a nice guy. And he wasn't an awful quarterback. He was just really bad at protecting the football, which is a big part of the job. But he did some of the tough stuff much better than the easier stuff. I think if he just could reduce the turnovers, he'd have a long career as a backup in this league. So, are we ready to jump into our next segment? We're at 42 likes. Can we get to 50? Can we get 8 more likes? Hit that thumbs up button if you have not already. And Reed says, get some questions in right now. I got Big Dog. What's our chances of the playoffs?
I only have 4.
We can do better.
We should maybe...
Vincent just got a question in.
Vincent got one in.
I'm going to call out someone by name.
Let's call out Comer Boy, TV.
Okay. You're calling out Cobra Boy? Is that what you said? Oh, Corner Boy. I'm going to put the hot spot on Christopher. Christopher, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I think I put Christopher on the spot last week. So, hey, where's our trucker? Come on. I need the trucker. All right. Damn, that's a blow. If anyone sees him in the chat, please let me know. So, let's talk playoffs. On today's episode, we're going to run through the playoff picture. We're going to talk about the odds and the rooting guide and whatnot. If you are unable to spend all day at work like I do, living on the ESPN playoff machine or the New York Times playoff probability, you're really going to enjoy this video because I'm going to run through all the realistic scenarios. First, a little bit of a primer, the NFC playoff picture. Now, we are filming this on Thursday during our live show before the 49ers Thursday night game. So some of that will change, but it really doesn't impact Atlanta all too much because the Falcons really have one simple path, past the Buccaneers in the NFC South, or maybe catch up to the Commanders for the wild card spot. So ignore that part, but I'm just going to shoot my shot right now and say the Niners win on Thursday night. We'll see how this ages. So let's talk about the Falcons' upcoming schedule. They got the Raiders on Monday, the Giants at home, must-win games. From multiple perspectives. From a numbers perspective, one loss and you really start to sink yourself. If you can't beat these teams, you're not going to beat these teams. And these teams aren't that great. The Commanders, they're a playoff team, but they've lost 3 in a row not too long ago. And the Panthers, they are not quitting. Kudos to them. They are playing hard the last couple of weeks. And Bryce Young looks like he might be the long-term play at Carolina after all. So, where do things stand in the NFC South? The Falcons, with their 4-game losing streak, have fallen behind the Buccaneers. The good news is they do have the head-to-head tiebreaker, so they just need Tampa to slip up once, and if they find themselves in a tie, tie goes to Falcons. So they just need Tampa to make one mistake, but they do not control their own destiny. So let's run through what's at stake coming up in Week 15. If the Falcons beat the Raiders on Monday night, and the Buccaneers lose to the Chargers, Atlanta has a 57% chance of making the playoffs. They will be tied once again in the NFC South race, and then Atlanta would regain control of their own destiny. So, advantage Atlanta for this upcoming week. Let's say both teams win. Well, now we're kind of burning daylight because we go from 4 games remaining to catch up on the Buccaneers to 3 games. So the probability is down to 44%, which isn't very far off from what it is right now. Now we're going to run through a whole lot of other permutations and possibilities in just a second. But if you want a Falcons playoff watch party like I do, sub for dubs. Let's get some mojo rolling. Let's get some good momentum going into the last quarter of the year by clicking that subscribe button. Let's try and build together one hell of a Falcons community. Now, for the divisional spot, it's pretty simple, right? You got to tie the Buccaneers or surpass them. So whatever they do, you have to match or do better. And if you keep matching, you're going to run out of weeks. What about the wild card? This is something we haven't really discussed, and I want to take some time to divulge the possibility of Atlanta maybe getting a wild card spot, which didn't seem like a real chance a few weeks ago, but it's not as far-fetched as you might think. I do want to talk about our friends over at Prize Picks super quickly, though. Prize Picks is really simple and fun to use. All you're going to do at Prize Picks is pick 2 to 6 players. and then choose more or less on their projected stats. And you could turn, I don't know, $10 into 200 times that with Pickmas. So run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks also offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this season. They also love doing all these fun little deals like Patrick Mahomes' passing yards at 0.5. They're just giving you a freebie. Go out there and take it. You pair one more with it, and you got some coin in your pocket. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. So let's circle back to the wild card spot. Like I said, we are awaiting, for me at least personally at this moment, the results of Thursday Night Football. But let's just focus on catching up to the Commanders, because ultimately that is the team you have to catch. I don't see Atlanta catching up to obviously the Vikings. I think that's mathematically, they don't have the tiebreak. It's whatever. The Packers is unlikely as well. So let's just talk about Washington. Here are their remaining games. They go to New Orleans, which we have learned they are a frisky team under interim head coach Rizzi. So that is no cakewalk. They got the Eagles, Falcons coming to town, a couple bird matchups right here, and they close out the year with a third straight home game against the Cowboys. This one I think is at Dallas, actually. Sorry. This is at the Cowboys. So they got Saints, Eagles, Falcons, and then at Dallas to close out the year. So not a super easy schedule for them, but they built themselves a nice little cushion going into the end of the year. Let's talk about some of the probabilities. Let's say this week, week 15, Falcons beat the Raiders. Buccaneers beat the Chargers. Obviously, number one goal is Buccaneers lose, and that's great for Atlanta. But if Tampa keeps winning and Atlanta keeps winning, what if the Commanders lose to the Saints on the road? Just a 9% chance of making the playoffs. But let's take it one step further. Let's say Falcons win, Bucs win, and Commanders win. Not great for Atlanta, not making up any ground, running out of time to do so, falls to 5% chance, which I think we can all acknowledge that the Commanders are probably more likely than not going to beat the Saints. If I had to pick one, it would probably be DC, but never quite know, especially, Saints are without Derek Carr, so nothing's a guarantee in the NFL, but that definitely doesn't help out Atlanta. So let's just say all three teams win, which is not great for Atlanta because they can't make up any ground. All right? Say we move into week 15 now. Okay, week 16. So you take what happened in week 15 that we just talked about. Falcons win, and the Commanders lose because the Commanders play the Eagles while the Falcons play the Giants. Now we're at an 11% chance, and this is under the belief that the Commanders are going to beat the Saints. So I'm building in some slack here. If this happens, then we move into week 17. Stick with me. We're going to land this plane together. Week 15 and 16 that we just talked about rolled into Falcons beat the Commanders, and now it's a 56% chance Atlanta gets a wild card spot. The Falcons are 2 games back from the Commanders. If they beat them head-to-head, they'll have the tiebreaker, and they'll be 1 game back. Thus, they would just need the Commanders to lose 1 more game. The Eagles, which is probably going to happen, again, just going off the favorites here, and just like that, the Falcons are right in the mix. But the biggest thing that Atlanta has to focus on here is they need to win themselves. They can probably get the help they are going to need. I would not be surprised if the Commanders go 1-1 in the next 2 weeks, and the Falcons then go into week 17 in D.C. with an opportunity to overtake them in the wild card race, have the tiebreaker, and be 8-6 right there with them. 8-7, yeah. But they have to take care of business themselves. So if you want a shortened version of the rooting guide for yourself this next month or so, root against the Buccaneers, root against the Commanders. That is the mantra. Priority number 1, catch up to Tampa. If we can't catch up to Tampa because they keep winning, root against the Commanders. Falcons win these next 2 games. And Commanders lose just 1 of these 2 games. Just 1. Then we go into this game right here. And the Falcons will be able to control their own destiny. If they beat the Commanders, they'll have the tiebreaker, and they'll have a really good chance of then jumping into the wild card spot depending on what the other teams like the Rams are doing. So we can't focus too much on those other teams right now that are also in the outside looking in, but let's just focus on taking down someone on the inside to fall out. So some big games coming up for Atlanta, obviously in terms of importance, but luckily for them, they're kind of like gimmies, some FCS opponents. It feels like the beginning of a college football season, playing the Raiders and the Giants, two teams that are complete disarray. But we have seen this before in the NFL. Come Sunday, those guys in the field are not going to care about what pick they have in the draft in April. They're going to play hard, and if you don't give it 100%, they are going to beat you. Having said all this, I am terrified for Monday Night Football. I really am. I think I've been pretty honest with you guys all season long on a week-to-week basis of where I stand for the Falcons on like whether or not I think they're going to win. I feel like everyone is just rooting on the Falcons to just turn it around. We've been saying that for a month now, and it hasn't happened. So when we're just hoping it happens, that's when I start to get terrified. I want to be wrong. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to win, but I am saying right now I am nervous. Someone else give me some confidence because I don't have any right now. So what are your score predictions for Falcons versus Raiders? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to say Atlanta wins a close one, 21-20. It's not even like a walk-off field goal. I'm going to say the Raiders have the ball at the chance at the end to win it, and Desmond Ridder throws an interception, and we can all exhale but go, that was too close for comfort. If we're going to beat the Raiders by 1 point, then we're going to be in trouble when we get to the playoffs, if we get there. Maverick is saying, I'm making good points, or Maverick's making good points? Maverick, what are the points here? Oh, is Maverick campaigning to start Michael Penix? If so, I think Maverick and I see eye to eye because I just can't really justify using a top 10 pick on a quarterback and then not using him when the opportunity is so glaringly right in front of your face. Is that a Smokey Moe's cup? No, it's not. It's Sammy's barbecue cup. It's a barbecue place that I walk past going to work every so often. So whenever I have to come in on like a Monday, kind of later for Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football, I stop at Sammy's Barbecue, bring in a nice brisket sandwich. And I get some sweet tea, and I have a growing collection of Sammy's barbecue cups. Yeah. I mean, look at it. He's put in fumbles, and he's got a triple-double. 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and I think he's at 13 fumbles. That's insane. It was unfortunate is half of those interceptions, over half, have come in 4 games. Right? He's played 14 games? 13 games. And in 13, more than 50% of his interceptions came in a 4-game stretch. Those 4 games truly sunk the Atlanta Falcons. Sucks to see. And the worst part is, if the season continues on this pace and let's say Atlanta misses the playoffs, let's say they win the next 2 and they lose the last 2 and they finish the year 8-9, people are going to ask, what happened to the Falcons? How do they fall off a cliff? The answer is Kirk Cousins, and when they follow up with what happened to Kirk Cousins, I don't really know. I wish I had a better, more articulate, analytical answer. The guy looked like someone just repossessed him because he was so good against – he was doing the dance and whatnot, and 500 yards against the Buccaneers, franchise record. And his evil stepbrother, twin brother, just took over for him. Tony's getting fired up in the chat. Ooh. Hey, play nice. ELE. Everybody love everybody. That's the rule. Jackie Moon style. Get those questions in. Use hashtag Falcons if you have not already. We are turning on each other. This is sad to see. Sad to see. Look at this. Tony, what if Desmond Ridder throws 3 touchdown passes? Oh, if Ridder just walks all over Atlanta, that might be something you fold the franchise over. There's no coming back from that. If the Falcons lose and get eliminated by Desmond Ridder, I don't know how you bounce back from that. I truly don't. That honestly is like grounds for we need to completely blow this thing up. Use hashtag Falcons if you have a question or take. Like, plenty of you guys have strong opinions. If you want your opinion to be shared, use hashtag Falcons, and producer Reed can then put it on screen. If you don't use hashtag Falcons, our software can't find it in the chat and then pull it out so we can put it on screen for everyone watching to see. All right, are we ready to jump into our mailbag? No trucker. Where's our trucker? My kids are fighting. I hate to see it. Zach, okay, now we're pointing fingers. I feel like I'm the principal here. If Ridder knocks out of the playoff contention for the 7th year in a row. Oh, my God. Jay's going to have my job. I mean, I remember early on when I was like, listen, Jay. Yes! There is a God.
Oh, there is a God.
There is a God. Get your predictions in. Where is Trucker Mike? This is all we have. They're 6-7. We're looking at a 4th straight 7-10 season. We needed this. Where is Trucker Mike?
So
all right.
He went Miami, Alabama last week. Now we got.
Was he? No. Where was he last week? He was not in Alabama last week.
Yeah.
Was he? Okay, I thought it was 2 weeks ago. I thought it was 2 weeks ago. All right,
no, 2 weeks ago he was Miami.
Yeah, I thought we've gotten 3 locations from him. That's what I'm saying. Rusty with a $5 super. I think Vincent was he a miss? Okay, get your guesses in right now. Where is Trucker Mike? Ty, man, guess somewhere in the southeast because I don't think he ventures to the northwest. Rob Wilkes. Unfortunately, we have decades-long history of losing to scrub QBs. Our 1980 team lost to Dallas's punter at QB. I don't remember that. I was well before my time. Raiders 30, Falcons 13. That is tough to see, Rob, but I can't push back. I can't tell you you're wrong. All you did was lay out facts. I respect it. I really do. Rusty, been a fan since 2001, so don't call me a fake fan. I'm not calling you a fake fan. But don't lie, it would make for great content next week if Dez dog walks us on national television. Great content for who? You guys want to know what content's like for me right now? Because with the Falcons losing, my viewership has just plummeted. And maybe it's because I'm bad at my job. That's a possibility. But I wasn't bad, I guess, in your eyes, 2 months ago when they were winning games. Like, take a scroll on Falcons Today. Like, it sucks when the team starts losing. You have a subset of fans like Rusty here who are going to consume content no matter what. And then, unfortunately, majority of the fans tune out. So, I would prefer, business-wise, they don't lose, and emotionally. All right, where is Trucker Mike? I'm going to say Trucker Mike is in, I'm going to go with Tennessee. I'm going to go with Tennessee, getting ready for Tennessee, Ohio State. I'm going to say he's in the volunteer state.
I'm going with North Carolina.
I like that guess.
Trucker Mike.
Trucker Mike, everyone get your guesses in. Where is our resident trucker driving at the moment? Guess the state indeed. Trucker Mike knows the rules. He's the official. I'm going to go with Tennessee. Reed's got North Carolina. Whew. I'm feeling good about this one. I really am. He's on.
Chicago, Illinois?
Rusty's correct. You're in Chicago? Well, now we have to reevaluate our entire geography zone.
Wow.
I didn't know the Midwest was on the table. I thought you were a Southeastern guy. SEC country. Didn't know Rusty was. Didn't know Trucker Mike was a Big Ten boy.
Rip the map down. We gotta restart.
everything I thought I knew about this channel, I'm wrong. I don't know how to handle this.
Illinois.
I like how we're having a meaningful conversation, and Zach is still fighting with someone. I don't remember who's fighting with.
And Damon.
You guys need to make up or make out. One of the two. Damn. All right. This opens up more options, that's for sure.
I know.
We're going to have to, reset. And attack. Yeah. Attack into the future.
We'll come back smarter next time.
Okay. Let's get into our mailbag. Are we ready to rumble? Jamie, you're so close. You put Falcona. Sounds a little Spanish. We need an S instead of an A. And, this has to be spot on. Otherwise, the software just skips right over it. So just copy and paste it over and put an S instead of an A for Falcons. Over the road southeast is my primary running lane sometime. Trucker Mike, let me ask you one question. Do you ever go west of the Mississippi? That way we can at least kind of have a dividing line of this is out of bounds. Or are all 48 states, in the continental U.S. up for grabs here? All right, are we ready to look at the script for a moment? Okay, we're going to answer questions. So if you have one that pops in your head, use hashtag Falcons or super chat, and we'll throw it on screen for everyone watching to see. J-My, thank you very much for the correction. Sorry about that. So let's get the show on the road. Before we start today's episode, if you are a frequent flyer here at Falcons Today, do me a favor and share our video. I want this to be the most shared video on the channel in the last 2 weeks. So send it to a friend, send it to a family member, have them join the channel so we can continue to grow as a YouTube community. First question coming in, though, on our mailbag today from Big Dog. Why do you think that Raheem isn't benching Kirk Cousins? There's two trains of thought, right? Bears eat beats. No, I'm not doing the office monologue. There is the political reason of they just gave him $90 million guaranteed for this year, and it would be a very bad look if the coaching staff can't figure out a way to make $90 million of a player work. That's the guaranteed money he got. An extra $10 million if he's on the roster for 2025. That's where the $100 million total comes in. So that's the political reason of they paid him so much. You just may not get the green light from the boss man to bench a guy that just got $90 million guaranteed. Then there's the ignore the political side. Maybe he does have full control to bench the quarterback. He may just feel like Kirk Cousins gives us our best chance to win. He sees Penix in practice every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and he might feel like Penix is not at a spot where he can go out there and give us a better shot than Kirk Cousins can, and he's going to go down swinging with Kirk, a quarterback he wanted to bring in as soon as he got the head coaching gig, and that's what he is standing by. Those are the two reasons I can come up with. Matthew Petey fan, are you surprised the NFL did not flex the Monday Night Football game? A little, given how bad the Raiders are, but remember, when it comes to flexing games, you can't simply just go in there and take any game you want. Before the year starts, CBS, Fox, I think, and NBC, I think those three networks, they do a draft of games. And so they have some games that are protected. And so the Falcons game, while it was on ESPN for Monday night, let's say ESPN wanted to go get a different Week 15 matchup. If that was protected because it was one of CBS or Fox's draft picks before the season started, they might look around and go, I don't think there's anything much better, and we're not going to flex just for the sake of getting a marginally better team in there. If we're going to flex, let's make sure it's for a really good matchup we can't pass on. Drew Dog, the OG of Atlanta sports. What's up, Drew? When will Braylon Trice return next year? I think he is the missing piece. So the Falcons rookie out of Washington, third-round pick, if you don't know, tore his ACL back in preseason. That's what Drew is talking about here. Tore his ACL in the first preseason game against the Dolphins. That was early August, so I would hope given a reasonable recovery timeline for someone young. When you're younger, your body heals faster, doesn't have a long history of injuries. We should see Braylon Trice ready to roll for first day of training camp. Hopefully, we get him for a little bit of OTAs and some mandatory minicamp. But he's not going to come back this year. That much is for sure. As for being the missing piece, I can't say that with any confidence because we hardly saw the guy. We got rookie minicamp, mandatory minicamp, some OTAs, non-padded drills, just running around dummies. I know it can look good doing that. So it would have been nice to have an extra pass rusher on this team, and hopefully he can bounce back strong from this injury, but I'm not quite with you on he's the missing piece part. I just don't have enough information on the guy to say something that strongly. Eli, do you think Matt Ryan could come out of the booth and give better play than Cousins? The bar is not very high for Kirk right now. Matt Ryan isn't very far removed from the field. Like Joe Flacco came off the couch and did pretty well for the Browns last year, so I wouldn't say it's a 0% chance, but I'm going to say no. I don't think we should bring back Matt Ryan and have the lasting memory of it be, ooh, not good from Matty Ice. Let's remember Matt Ryan for what he was, a Falcons Hall of Famer, an NFL Hall of Famer. Let's not trot out an old dog that clearly lost his fastball when he was with the Colts, and no one needs to see it get any worse as he got even older. Jamie, do you think next year us and the Panthers will run the division? It's a good question. I don't think the Panthers are going to run the division next year. They're clearly better than they were last year, and in year 2 under Dave Canales, they're probably going to improve a little bit more. I'm not going to go as far to say the Panthers are going to run the division. This season, my hot trendy pick or two for rising teams were the Cardinals and the Commanders. Before the season started, me and some buds went to Las Vegas, and I did like season total wins over-unders for all 32. And the two sleepers I was very confident about were the Cardinals and the Commanders. Next year, it might be the Panthers because their record this year is not a good indicator for how well they have played over the last couple of weeks. But I still think the Buccaneers with Todd Bowles and Mike Evans and a lot of key defensive pieces are going to be the team to beat because they've been the team to beat for 5-6 years now at this point. Jay, thank you so much for your question. I really appreciate it. All right, we got another question coming in just a moment, but I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor today, and that is Game Time. If you want to go see a live sporting event in your area, Falcons game, Hawks game, any other event in your area, visit Game Time because they're going to give you guys Game Time picks. What that does is it filters out the fluff for you. That way you're not spending 30 to 60 minutes searching for the best ticket prices, comparing across multiple sites. No, with Game Time picks, you can get the best value, the best bang for your buck. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Next question coming in from Emmanuel. This is my first year of being a Falcons fan. I can't decide if this year or the past 3 years were worst. I remember when football was all sunshine and rainbows early in the season. This is definitely a worse year for Falcons fans than the previous few years. Like the previous few years were pretty open about being a little bit of a rebuild, right? That was not something they hid away from when Matt Ryan left after the 2021 season, going into Mariota 2022, hoping Ritter would be better than he really ever was in 2023. But you didn't spend $180 million on Kirk Cousins and $100 million guaranteed to go 6-7. The expectations, and deservingly so, were much higher this year than previous years. So I'm going to say this is one of the most miserable years for Falcons fans given the hope and expectations they had going into the year compared to previous years was like, hey, we're not supposed to be really good, so if we win a couple of games, awesome. If we lose games, no big surprise. That was not the case this year. Christopher, next one up. If Penix does get to play this year, what do you think his stats will look like? I'll say, let's say he plays 3 games. Let's say Kirk Cousins plays all the Raiders game, and maybe they lose and they get benched him afterwards. I'll say in his first start, he probably throws for like 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, which would be 1 more than Kirk for the last month. And he probably ends the year with like 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 700 yards. Like, I don't think it's going to be any crazy number like that. But you are seeing Bo Nix, who was taken after Penix, play the best of all rookie quarterbacks this year. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. Like, sure, they're not all on winning teams, but the quarterbacks are playing pretty well for rookie expectations. So I would not be surprised if there's some level of FOMO kicking in of like, so we use the 8th overall pick on a quarterback, and we're the only one that has a healthy sitting quarterback of that entire draft class. Forget J.J. McCarthy because of his injury. Everyone else seems to be having a lot of fun with their shiny toy. When do we get to play with our Christmas present? We've opened the wrapping, but we were told it has to sit in the box. That's the worst as a kid, right? The Patriots had to have it sit in the box for a little bit until they finished their car ride home from their aunt and uncle's house where they spent Christmas morning. But now they're playing with their toy. The Bears and the Commanders and the Broncos, they all shred the box to pieces the moment they saw it. The Falcons are like, you see this? Shiny, cool, right? We're going to put it away, and you can come collect this next year. That's the worst Christmas present. Zach, what do you think of our defense after the game? I think they look like they needed a map or a nap. Also, do we think some staff changes? All right, a couple of typos. You lost me a little bit, Zach, but talking about the defense as a whole, I mean, all eyes are always going to be on Kirk Cousins, but defense put up a pathetic performance against, I mean, pathetic is a bit of a strong word, but the penalties were just a backbreaker for this team. And listen, Sam Darnold throws 5 touchdown passes. Like, there needs to be an ass chewing. That can't be a game where you go like, man, gave it all we got, and just the ball didn't bounce our way. They gave it all they got for 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter happened. So there definitely needs to be some level of change. I would say Jimmy Lake should be a one-and-done defensive coordinator. Zach, thank you for the question. Kennard Drake, I got my Falcons team hoodie. I still believe in our team. Kennard, thank you for your super and your support and your optimism because I definitely could use it. Rob, unfortunately, we have a decade-long history of losing to scrub QBs. Our 1980 team lost to Dallas's punter at QB, Raiders 30, Falcons 13. You guys can get your score predictions in, but Rob, I can't say you're wrong. I mean, you're not. You're factually correct here, and I hope it ends on Monday, but I am nervous. I would be lying if I said otherwise. Thank you very much, Rob. Rusty, been a fan since 2001, so don't call me a fake fan, but don't lie. It would make for great content next week if Desmond Ridder dog walks us on national television. I think it would make for great content if the Falcons had a coach they wanted to get fired. I don't think anyone's like, except for Jay, wants to see Raheem Morris. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not like they've got a coach who's been there for 3 years and this would be the straw that broke the camel back. If the Falcons lose Desmond Ridder, it's more of an acceptance of, oh, crap. Raheem Morris might not have been a very good hire. And now we just continue to go back into quarterback purgatory of being a 5 to 7 win team and not seeing any way out of being not quite bad enough to get an elite quarterback in the draft, but not good enough to do anything to celebrate. So I would not agree with this, but the rest of the country would definitely laugh at it. Dat one Falcons fan, if we lose the potentially Ridder-led Raiders, is it Penix time? Of course, we know we'll have the motivation to face his former team, but no excuses. 9-8 is still possible. I'm not going to say the 100% Penix time for 2 reasons. One, Raheem Morris has been absolute about standing by Kirk Cousins. If Kirk Cousins plays well, but the defense lets down Atlanta, they're not going to bench Kirk. That's just mixed signaling, right? Cousins has been playing so poorly. We stick by him, we stick by him, we stick by him. Cousins throws 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, and like, now we're benching you because we lost. What? Why didn't you bench him earlier when he wasn't playing well and we're losing? Now he's playing well, but you want to bench him? So I don't think it's an absolute based on the outcome of the game. I think it's purely tied to Kirk Cousins' play. Who you got, though, for Monday Night Football, Falcons or Raiders? Let me know in the comment section below. Zach, quick question. Did Raheem Morris live up to his expectations in your opinion? Zach, let me give you a better answer when the season's over, because we still have 4 games left for Morris to prove himself. But if they finish 8-9 or 9-8, I'm going to say that was a disappointment given the way they started and the way they folded. So unless they finish off 4-0 here, they finish the year 10-7. All right. Finish on a very high note. 4-game losing streak matched with a 4-game winning streak, and winning cures all, and we're going to forget all about that losing streak if they win 4 in a row. All right, boys and girls. Yes, Matthew Petey fan, I am doing a watch party for Monday night, so I will see you there. That will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, as you always do. Hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see everyone Monday night for Falcons Raiders.